Millionaire sees his ex-wife selling lemonade with twins who look just like him. Marcus Bennett slammed on the brakes so hard that the tires of his Cadillac screeched against the curb. His hands trembled on the steering wheel as he watched the scene through the tinted window. It couldn't be true. After 7 years, there she was. It was when he saw the two blonde boys that his heart almost stopped. They had his exact eyes, the same face shape, even that small scar on the chin that he'd had since childhood. Jennifer was there selling lemonade at a simple wooden stand, wearing a faded t-shirt and worn-out jeans, while two children identical to him ran around her. "Mom, can I have another cup?" one of the boys asked, and Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. The voice, the way of speaking, everything about him screamed fatherhood. Jennifer looked up and saw him through the windshield. Her face instantly turned pale. She whispered something to the boys, and they looked toward the car with childish curiosity. "Ethan, Noah, go play in the backyard," she said nervously, trying to gently push the boys away from the curb. "But I want to see the pretty car, Mom," one of them protested, Noah, who had exactly the same stubbornness Marcus had shown as a child. Marcus opened the car door on shaky legs. After 7 years imagining this moment, he never thought it would be like this. He never imagined it would be with two children who were clearly his sons. "Jennifer," he said, his voice hoarse. She didn't answer, just stood there, frozen, holding a cup of lemonade as if it were a shield. "Who is this man, Mom?" asked Ethan, the other twin, without any shyness. Jennifer opened and closed her mouth several times, unable to form words. She stammered. "Why is he crying?" Noah questioned, watching the tears that Marcus couldn't hold back. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, feel free to leave a like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. Marcus approached slowly, as if afraid the whole scene would disappear if he made any sudden moves. His eyes couldn't pull away from the boys' faces. It was like looking into mirrors of his own childhood. "Are they—" he began, but the question died in his throat. "Let's go inside," Jennifer said quickly, taking each boy by a hand. "But what about the lemonade? Customers will come?" Ethan protested. "We're not selling any more today, my love." Marcus watched as she collected the cups and stored the lemonade pitcher in a cooler. Her movements were hurried, nervous. The boys seemed confused by their mother's sudden rush. "Jennifer, we need to talk," Marcus said, finding the courage to move closer. She stared at him for the first time since he got out of the car. Her eyes, once so full of love, now reflected only fear and resentment. "Talk? After 7 years you show up here wanting to talk?" "I didn't know," he tried to explain. "Didn't know what?" "That I was pregnant? That I tried to tell you? That I called your office 50 times. The boys fell silent, sensing the tension in the air. Noah hid behind Jennifer's leg, while Ethan continued watching Marcus with curiosity. "Your secretary told me you had given orders not to take my calls," Jennifer continued, her voice trembling with contained anger. "Said you wanted to cut all ties with the past." Marcus felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. He vaguely remembered giving that instruction to Michelle, his former secretary, right after their stormy divorce. He had been so hurt, so bitter, that he wanted to erase any memory of Jennifer. "I was angry, hurt. I didn't think you could be pregnant with your children," she interrupted him. "I found out a week after you left home, Marcus. A week after you told me our marriage was the biggest mistake of your life." Noah started crying softly. The adults' raised voices were scaring him. Jennifer immediately knelt beside him. "It's okay, sweetheart. Mommy isn't really fighting." "But why did you make Mommy sad?" Noah asked, looking directly at Marcus. The innocent question felt like a stab wound. Marcus crouched down to the boy's level, trying to control his own emotions. "I didn't mean to make your mother sad," he said gently. "Sometimes adults do wrong things without thinking." "Like when I broke the neighbor's vase playing ball?" Ethan asked. "Exactly. Only I broke something much more important than a vase." Jennifer watched the interaction between Marcus and the boys with a heavy heart. She could see traces of him in every expression, every movement of the boys. For 7 years she carried this burden alone, seeing her ex-husband's face reflected in her children every day. "Mommy, is he our father?" Noah suddenly asked, with the brutal honesty typical of children. Jennifer lost her breath. This was the question she had both feared and hoped for over the years. "Noah," she began. "Yes, he is," Ethan said with conviction. "He has the same mark we have on our chin." Instinctively, the three males touched the small scar they shared. Marcus remembered how he got his, falling off his bicycle when he was 5. Apparently the boys had inherited not only his features, but also his adventurous streak. "How do you know about the mark?" Marcus asked, genuinely curious. "Mommy said Daddy had a mark just like ours," Noah explained innocently. Marcus looked at Jennifer, who averted her gaze, clearly embarrassed at being found out. "You asked about me?" "Every day," Ethan replied before Jennifer could stop him. "We wanted to know if you were coming back." The silence that followed was deafening. Marcus felt the weight of 7 years of absence crashing down on his shoulders like an avalanche. "Boys, let's go inside," Jennifer said, trying to end the conversation. "Mr. Bennett needs to leave." "Mr. Bennett?" Ethan repeated. "Like our last name?" "Our last name is Bennett too," Noah added, looking confused at his mother. Marcus realized she had kept his last name for the boys, another piece of the puzzle that was destroying him inside. "Please, Jennifer, 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes for us to talk." She hesitated, looking at the boys who were watching her, waiting for an answer. "Okay, but they stay here with me." Marcus agreed with a nod. Any time was better than nothing. "Do you want to sit on the grass while the adults talk?" Jennifer suggested, pointing to a shaded area under a mango tree. The boys ran off excitedly, happy to be able to play outside. Marcus and Jennifer sat on a small concrete wall, keeping enough distance not to touch each other, but close enough to talk without the children hearing. "How did you find out where I was?" she asked. "I wasn't looking. I was returning from a meeting in Pasadena and decided to take a different route. I saw you and—" He stopped, watching the boys play. "My God, Jennifer, they're my sons." "Were," she corrected. "You lost the right to call them your sons when you abandoned me while pregnant." "I didn't know you were pregnant." "Because you didn't want to know." She exploded, then lowered her voice, remembering the children. "You told me to get out of your life and never come back. Your exact words." Marcus remembered that horrible night. They had argued because of his obsession with work, how he prioritized the company above everything. Jennifer wanted a child, a real family, and he thought he wasn't ready. The argument escalated until he said terrible things he regretted the next second. "I was scared," he admitted. "Scared of being a horrible father like mine was." "So you decided not to be a father at all?" she replied bitterly. "It wasn't a conscious decision, Jennifer. I was lost, hurt. When you left home, I thought that was it, that you two were better off without me." "The 3 of us," she corrected. "I was already carrying your children in my belly when I left." Marcus closed his eyes, trying to process the information. For 7 years he had built a business empire, earned millions, achieved everything he thought was important. And during those same 7 years, his children grew up without him, learned to walk, to talk, to dream, all without his presence. "How did you manage to raise them alone?" he asked, looking around the simple neighborhood where she lived. "Working. A lot. Cleaning in the morning, telemarketing in the afternoon, lemonade on weekends. Any honest work that came up." Marcus observed her hands, calloused and dry, so different from the soft hands he remembered. She had aged, not just physically, but carried a burden of weariness that he recognized in people struggling to survive. "Why lemonade?" She smiled for the first time since he arrived, but it was a sad smile. "Because they love it, and because it's something I can do with them nearby without having to leave them alone. Mrs. Dorothy, the neighbor, watches them when I need to go to work, but on weekends the 3 of us stay together selling lemonade." "You need—" he started, but she interrupted him. "No, I won't take your money. Not now. Not like this. Jennifer, they are my children. I have a responsibility." "Now you do? Where was that responsibility 7 years ago?" Where was it when Noah had pneumonia, and I spent 3 nights awake in the hospital without being able to pay for the treatment? Where was it when Ethan broke his arm and I had to choose between buying medicine and paying the rent? Each word was like a slap in Marcus's face. He imagined his children sick, in pain, and he didn't even know they existed. How did you pay for the hospital? By selling everything I had. Furniture, appliances, even my wedding ring. She touched her finger where a ring used to be. It was the last thing of yours I had. The silence between them was broken by the boys' laughter. Noah had found an old ball and they were tossing it to each other. Are they happy? Marcus asked. They're normal kids, happy when they can be, sad when life gets tough. They ask about their father, dream of having a complete family like their school friends, but they've learned to be content with what we have. And you? Are you happy? Jennifer took a while to answer, watching her children play. I've learned that happiness is relative. They are my happiness. The rest I just get by with. Marcus realized she hadn't answered about herself, only about the boys. He wondered if she had been with anyone in those years, if she had found someone who could give her and the boys the stability he couldn't provide. You have someone? That's none of your business, she replied quickly, confirming his suspicion that she was alone. Mommy, I'm thirsty, Noah yelled from the grass. We're leaving soon, my love, she replied, standing up. No, Marcus said, also standing up. Please, let me take you all for ice cream or a snack, anything. I want to spend a little more time with them. Marcus, as their father, I have the right to... You have no right, she cut him off. Rights are earned with presence, with care, with love. You can't show up after 7 years and expect rights. The boys approached, sensing the new tension between the adults. Why are you fighting again? Ethan asked, worried. We're not fighting, sweetheart, Jennifer said, running her hand through his hair. Yes, you are, Noah said, just like on TV when parents fight and the child gets sad. Marcus knelt down again in front of the boys. Would you like to have some ice cream? Their eyes lit up with excitement, but they looked at their mother, waiting for permission. Please, Mom, Ethan begged. It's just ice cream, Noah added. Jennifer sighed. She knew she was being manipulated by her own children, but she also saw the anxiety and curiosity in their eyes. They had the right to know their father, even if she was afraid of the consequences. All right, but just ice cream, and then you're coming home with me. Yay! The boys shouted in unison. Marcus smiled, and Jennifer noticed it was the same smile as the boys. She had spent 7 years seeing her ex-husband's smile on her children's faces. The nearest ice cream shop was 2 blocks away. Marcus offered a ride in the car, but Jennifer preferred to walk. She wasn't ready to step back into his world again, not even for a few minutes. During the walk, the boys bombarded Marcus with questions about the car, about work, about why he was wearing a suit on a Saturday afternoon. He answered patiently, discovering that Ethan was more outgoing and Noah more observant, but both were incredibly smart. Do you like school? He asked. We do, Ethan replied, but it's far. We have to walk a lot. 15 minutes, Noah added. Mom counts the steps. Marcus looked at Jennifer, who was walking silently beside them. Why so far? It's the only public school with openings, she replied curtly. Marcus remembered that when they were married, they lived in an upper-middle-class neighborhood, where the schools were nearby and of good quality. Now Jennifer lived in a simpler area, where resources were limited. At the ice cream shop, the boys were mesmerized by the variety of flavors. Marcus noticed they took a long time to choose, as if they weren't used to so many options. You can order whatever you want, he said. Any flavor, really? Noah asked, incredulous. Any flavor. Ethan chose chocolate with strawberry. Noah opted for vanilla with sprinkles. Marcus ordered a lemon ice cream, thinking of the lemonade they sold, and Jennifer refused anything. Aren't you having ice cream, Mom? Ethan asked. I'm not in the mood, sweetheart. Marcus knew she was refusing out of pride, not wanting to accept anything from him, but he didn't insist in front of the children. They sat at a small table on the ice cream shop's porch. The boys ate with evident pleasure, savoring every spoonful as if it were a treasure. Don't you eat ice cream often? Marcus asked, noticing how they were enjoying the dessert. Only on birthdays, Noah replied. And on Children's Day, Ethan added. When Mom manages to save up, Noah added innocently. Jennifer turned red with embarrassment. She hated that Marcus was finding out about her financial struggles through the children. Noah, she scolded him gently. But it's true, Mom. You always say ice cream is for special occasions. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. His children considered a simple ice cream a special occasion because they couldn't afford small luxuries often. And is today a special occasion? He asked. Yes, Ethan said, smiling, because we met our father. The simplicity of the answer almost made Marcus cry right then and there. After 7 years building wealth, he discovered that the only thing that truly mattered were two boys he barely knew, but who already considered him special. Would you like to see me more often? He asked, also looking at Jennifer. Every day, Noah replied without hesitation. You could come have lemonade with us, Ethan suggested. Ours is the best on the street. Boys, Jennifer intervened. It's not that simple. Why not, Mom? Ethan asked with the crystal-clear logic of children. He's our father. We're his children. Why can't we be together? Jennifer didn't know what to say. How could she explain to two 6-year-olds the complexity of adult relationships, hurt feelings, resentments, and fear? Because sometimes adults need to talk a lot before deciding things, she tried to explain. Then talk, Noah said as if it were obvious, and, meanwhile, we can play. Marcus laughed at the simplicity of the suggestion. The boys were right. Why complicate things so much? How about I visit you tomorrow? He suggested. Marcus. Jennifer began to protest. Yes, both boys shouted together, ignoring their mother's hesitation. You can come in the morning, Ethan said excitedly. We always set up the tent early. And you can help us make the lemonade, Noah added. I bet you don't know how. Marcus smiled. You're right. I really don't know how to make lemonade. We'll teach you, Ethan offered. It's easy. You just need to squeeze the lemon really hard. For the rest of the meeting, the boys talked about their lives, about school, about their friends, about how they helped their mother with household chores. Marcus discovered that Ethan wanted to be a soccer player, and Noah dreamed of being a doctor to cure people like Mommy when she gets sick. That last piece of information worried him. Did Jennifer get sick often? He looked at her carefully and noticed she was thinner than he remembered, with dark circles that betrayed extreme tiredness. When it was time to leave, the boys hugged Marcus with the typical naturalness of children. They didn't carry the hurt feelings and complications that tormented the adults. Are you really coming tomorrow? Noah asked, clinging to his father's arm. I promise, Marcus said, and he could see in Jennifer's eyes that she didn't believe his promises. What time? Ethan wanted to know. What time do you set up the tent? 8 in the morning, Noah replied. Then I'll be there at 8. A real promise? Ethan insisted. A real promise. Jennifer took the boys by the hand to cross the street. Marcus stood on the sidewalk watching them walk away. Before turning the corner, the boys turned and waved excitedly. Marcus got into the car, but couldn't start the engine immediately. His hands were shaking, and his heart was beating irregularly. In one afternoon, his life had turned upside down. He had children, 2 beautiful, intelligent, affectionate children who had grown up without him. He took out his phone and cancelled all his weekend appointments. For the first time in years, he had something more important than work. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He walked around his luxurious apartment, looking at old photos from when he was married to Jennifer. He found a photo of the two of them on their wedding day, smiling, full of plans and dreams. How had they reached this point? He remembered their last fight, the horrible words they exchanged. Jennifer accused him of loving the company more than her. He retorted that he worked so hard to give her a comfortable life. She screamed that she wanted a present husband, not an absent provider. He replied that she was too dependent, that she needed to grow up and understand that adult life had responsibilities. Now 7 years later, he saw how wrong he had been. Jennifer wasn't dependent. She was a woman who wanted to build a family, have children, share dreams with her husband. And when he left her pregnant, she proved to be stronger than he ever imagined. At 7 in the morning, Marcus was already in the car, driving to the neighborhood where Jennifer lived. He arrived half an hour early and watched the street activity. It was a simple neighborhood but clean and organized. The houses were small but well kept, with little gardens in front and clothes hanging in the backyards. At 8 sharp, he saw Jennifer leave the house with the boys, each carrying part of the stand structure. She wore the same type of clothes as the day before, a simple t-shirt, jeans, and worn-out sneakers. The boys wore identical orange t-shirts and shorts. Marcus got out of the car and crossed the street. "Dad!" Noah shouted when he saw him, dropping the board he was carrying to run toward him. "You really came!" Ethan joined his brother, both hugging Marcus's legs. Jennifer continued setting up the stand, pretending she hadn't seen him. "Good morning, Jennifer," he said. "Good morning," she replied curtly without looking at him. "Can I help with anything?" "No need, we're used to it." But the boys had other plans. "Dad, help us set up the table," Ethan asked, pulling Marcus by the hand. "It's heavy," Noah explained. "Mom always says it's hard because she's a woman." Marcus looked at Jennifer, who seemed embarrassed by her son's frankness. "I didn't say it exactly like that," she murmured. "Yes, you did," Ethan insisted. "You said if Dad were here, it would be easier." Now Jennifer turned red with embarrassment. Marcus felt a pang of emotion knowing she had mentioned his presence to the boys, even if indirectly. "Where do I put this?" he asked, picking up the wooden table. Jennifer showed him the position, and together they set up the stand in silence while the boys arranged the plastic cups and napkins. "Now comes the most important part," Noah said solemnly. "Making the lemonade." "It's Mom's secret recipe," Ethan added. "It's not secret," Jennifer said, laughing for the first time in Marcus's presence. "It's just regular lemonade." "But ours is special, because Mom says you have to put care into it," Noah explained seriously. Marcus was moved by the innocence of the explanation. Jennifer had taught her children that even in life's simple things, you need to put love. "And how do you put care into the lemonade?" he asked, joining in the fun. "By stirring carefully," Ethan demonstrated, making slow, circular motions with an imaginary spoon. "And thinking of good things," Noah added. "What kind of good things do you think of?" "I think about people being happy drinking our lemonade," Noah said. "And I think we'll help Mom pay for things," Ethan added. Marcus looked at Jennifer, who quickly averted her gaze. He realized the boys, even though so young, already understood they sold lemonade out of necessity, not for fun. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. The morning passed quickly. Marcus found that making lemonade was more complicated than he thought. First, he squeezed the lemons too hard and squirted juice into his own eyes. Then he added too much sugar, and the lemonade became sickly sweet. On the third try, with the boys' patient guidance, he achieved an acceptable result. "It's almost like Mom's," Ethan said diplomatically. "Almost," Noah agreed, but with an expression that suggested there was still a long way to go. Jennifer smiled discreetly, watching Marcus wash the lemons with the seriousness of someone performing surgery. The first customer arrived around 10 o'clock. There was an elderly lady who lived on the corner. "Good morning, Mrs. Margaret," the boys greeted politely. "Good morning, my angels. The usual lemonade, please." Noah served a glass and handed it to the lady, who paid with 2 coins. "And who is this young man?" Mrs. Margaret asked, looking at Marcus. "He's our dad," Ethan replied proudly. "Ah, so this is the famous dad," the lady said with a mischievous smile. Finally showed up. Marcus felt embarrassed, realizing his absence was a topic of discussion in the neighborhood. "Better late than never," Mrs. Margaret added, giving Jennifer a wink before leaving. "Does the whole neighborhood know about me?" Marcus asked after the lady had gone. "It's a small neighborhood," Jennifer replied. "Everyone knows everything." "And what do they say?" "What do you think they say? That the boys look like their father and that their mother is raising them alone." Marcus felt exposed and judged by people he didn't even know. It was a strange feeling for someone used to being respected and admired in business circles. Throughout the morning, several neighbors stopped by to buy lemonade. Some greeted Marcus with curiosity, others with suspicion. He noticed that Jennifer had a close relationship with all of them. She knew their names, asked about their children's health, remembered personal details. It was clear she had built a support network in the community. These people weren't just customers, they were an extended family helping her raise the boys. "Mrs. Jennifer," called a young woman holding a child, "can I borrow some sugar? Mine ran out and the stores are closed." "Of course, Amanda. Ethan, go get the sugar package from the kitchen." Ethan ran inside and came back with a sealed package. "Take the whole package," Jennifer said. "I'll buy another one tomorrow." "No need, Mrs. Jennifer. Just a little for breakfast." "Take it all. It's no problem." The woman thanked her repeatedly before leaving. Marcus was impressed by Jennifer's generosity. She clearly didn't have much, yet she shared what little she had. "Do you always do that?" he asked. "Do what?" "Help the neighbors even when you can't afford to." "That's how it works here. Today I help, tomorrow they help me. That's how I've managed to survive all these years." Marcus began to understand that life in Jennifer's neighborhood operated on a different logic than what he was used to. It wasn't about accumulating individual wealth, but about building a mutual support network. Around noon, the boys started getting restless. "Mum, can I go play at Tyler's house?" Ethan asked. "And can I go to Emily's?" Noah joined in the request. "Go ahead, but be back for lunch." The boys ran off and Marcus was alone with Jennifer for the first time since the day before. "They're amazing," he said. "They're good boys. They've never given me any trouble. They look a lot like me when I was a child." "I know. Every day I see you in their faces." Marcus noticed the pain in Jennifer's voice as she made this confession. "That must have been hard for you." It was, especially in the early years. Every time they smiled, every time they got into mischief, I saw you. It was like having you with me and far away at the same time. "Why did you keep the Bennett last name for them?" Jennifer took a while to answer, rearranging glasses that were already organized. "Because they had the right to carry their father's name, even if the father wasn't present. And because—" she hesitated. "Deep down, I hoped that one day you would show up. And now I have." "Now you have," she repeated, but her voice didn't carry the joy Marcus had expected. "Jennifer, I know I made many mistakes. I know I can't get back the lost years, but I can be here from now on." "For how long, Marcus?" "Until you get tired of playing dad, until your business demands your full attention again, until some more interesting woman comes along." "This isn't a game. They're my children. They've always been your children. Where were you when Noah had chickenpox and spent a week with fever? Where were you when Ethan started walking and took his first steps? Where were you during the first days of school, at school presentations, at birthdays?" Each question was like a stab. Marcus had no answer for any of them. "I was building an empire," he said quietly. "And what did you do with that empire? Did it make you happy? Did it give you family? Did it give you love?" Marcus looked around the simple food stall, at the modest street, at the small house where Jennifer was raising their children. She had no material wealth, but she had something he'd lost long ago: purpose, community, love. "No," he admitted. "It gave me money and loneliness." "The boys don't need your money, Marcus. They need a present, constant, reliable father. Can you be that?" "I want to try." "Wanting isn't enough. They've already suffered too much from your absence. I can't let them suffer again if you decide to disappear when the novelty wears off." Marcus understood Jennifer's position. She was protecting the children, and he couldn't blame her for that. "What do I need to do to prove I've changed?" "I don't know. It's not something you prove with words or promises. It's something you demonstrate with actions, with time, with consistency." "How much time?" "As long as it takes, maybe years." Marcus nodded. He'd lost 7 years of his children's lives because of his own choices. If it took a few more years to regain their trust, he had that patience. "Can I keep visiting them?" "If you promise you won't disappear suddenly. If you promise that if you decide to leave their lives, you'll talk to me first, you'll prepare them. They can't just wake up one day and you're gone." "I promise." "And don't promise things you can't deliver. Don't talk about trips, expensive gifts, things that create unrealistic expectations. They need to know you as you are, not as some idealized version that shows up on weekends. Marcus agreed to every condition. He was willing to accept any rule if it meant getting to know his children. The boys came running back for lunch, sweaty and smiling. "Dad, are you having lunch with us?" Noah asked. Marcus looked at Jennifer, waiting for permission. "If he wants, he can stay," she said, but without much enthusiasm. "I want to," Marcus replied quickly. Jennifer's house was small but clean and organized. The living room had an old but well-maintained sofa, a small television, and some plants she grew in makeshift pots. The walls were decorated with the boys' drawings and family photos. Marcus noticed there were no photos of him, not even from when they were married. It was as if she had purposely erased his existence from their lives. "Sit there," Ethan said, pointing to the sofa. "Mom's making spaghetti." "It's our favorite dish," Noah explained. Marcus sat down and the boys settled on either side of him, as if this were the most natural thing in the world. "Dad, do you have a big house?" Ethan asked. "I have an apartment." "Does it have a yard?" "No, just a balcony." "That's too bad," Noah said. "Here we have a yard. Want to see?" The boys took him to the small but well-utilized backyard. There was a clothesline stretched between two trees, some scattered toys, and a corner where Jennifer grew herbs. "Mom planted basil, parsley, and chives," Ethan explained proudly. "And this is where we play soccer." Noah showed him a small patch of packed dirt. Marcus imagined the boys playing there every day, inventing games, creating memories. They were simple spaces, but full of life and affection. "Are you happy here?" he asked. "We are," Ethan replied. "But it would be cooler if you lived here too." "Ethan," Jennifer called from the kitchen, clearly having heard the conversation. "It's true, Mom," Noah shouted back. "We always wanted Dad to live with us." Marcus felt a tightness in his chest. His children dreamed of a complete family, something he had destroyed before even knowing they existed. Lunch was simple, pasta with tomato sauce and salad, but it was the most delicious meal Marcus had eaten in years. Not because of the seasoning, but because of the company. The boys chatted throughout the meal, telling stories about school friends and neighbors. Marcus discovered that Ethan was better at language arts and Noah excelled in math, that both loved soccer, but Noah also enjoyed drawing, that they had a goldfish named Nemo and a mixed-breed dog that showed up in the backyard every day to get food. "Where's the dog?" Marcus asked. "He only comes around in the late afternoon," Ethan explained. "Mom says he must have a family, but he comes here because he knows there's always food." "What do you call him?" "Buddy," Noah answered, "because he's everyone's friend." Marcus smiled at the simplicity of the name and the childlike logic. After lunch, the boys insisted on showing him the room they shared. It was a small space with 2 beds, an old wardrobe, and makeshift shelves full of books, toys, and schoolwork. "This is my bed," Ethan said, pointing to the one on the right. "And this is mine," Noah showed him the one on the left. Marcus noticed that the beds had different quilts, Jennifer's way of giving each son individuality, even in the shared space. "And this is where we keep our treasures," Ethan said, opening a shoebox under his bed. Inside the box were colorful pebbles, bottle caps, soccer player cards, and other objects that only held value to a child. Noah opened his own box, revealing colored pencils, drawings he had made, and some children's books. "Mom reads to us every night," Noah explained. "Even when she's really tired," Ethan added. Marcus pictured Jennifer, after long days of work, still finding the energy to read to her children before bed. More evidence of her dedication as a mother. "Dad, do you know how to read stories?" Noah asked. "I do. Why?" "You could read to us tonight," Ethan suggested hopefully. Marcus looked at his watch. It was already 2 in the afternoon, and he had promised himself he would only stay a few hours. "I have to leave soon," he said, hating to see the disappointment on the boys' faces. "Why?" Ethan asked. "Because—" Marcus realized he didn't have a real answer. There was no urgent commitment waiting for him. "Actually, if your mom says it's okay, I can stay a bit longer." The boys ran to the living room shouting, "Mom, Dad wants to stay longer, can he?" Jennifer was washing dishes at the small kitchen sink. She looked at Marcus with an unreadable expression. "If you want to," she said simply. The rest of the afternoon passed like a dream. Marcus played soccer in the small backyard, helped the boys build a tower with wooden blocks, and listened to endless stories about their school teachers. When the dog buddy appeared in the late afternoon, Marcus understood the boy's affection for the animal. He was a friendly mixed breed who wagged his tail at everyone and accepted treats politely. "He's just like you," Marcus said, petting the dog. "Friendly and well-mannered. Mom taught us that we have to be kind to everyone," Noah explained. "Even when people aren't kind to us," Ethan added. Marcus looked at Jennifer, who was hanging clothes in the backyard. She had taught their children values he had lost in years of corporate competition. Generosity, simplicity, kindness. At dinner time, Marcus insisted on helping in the kitchen. Jennifer tried to refuse, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. "I want to learn," he said. "If I'm going to be present in their lives, I need to know how to do basic things." Jennifer taught him to make a simple omelette while the boys did their homework at the living room table. It was a domestic, intimate moment that Marcus had never experienced, not even when they were married. "You've really changed," Jennifer said quietly as they cooked side by side. "How so?" "The Marcus I knew would never make an omelette, would never help with household chores, would never spend a whole Sunday playing with children." Marcus stopped stirring the eggs and looked at her. "Maybe I just hadn't found a good enough reason to change." They looked at each other for a moment, and Marcus saw a flicker of the old affection in Jennifer's eyes, but she quickly looked away and focused back on the stove. After dinner came story time before bed. The boys chose a book about a dragon who learned to be kind, and Marcus read it with different voices for each character. "You read even better than Mommy," Ethan said sleepily. "Don't say that," Noah scolded him. "Mommy reads very well." "Both of you read well," Ethan concluded diplomatically. Marcus tucked the boys into their beds, something he had dreamed of doing since discovering they were his sons. Noah fell asleep quickly, but Ethan stayed awake a few minutes longer. "Dad," he whispered in the dark. "What is it, champ? Are you coming back tomorrow?" "If you want me to and your mom allows it, yes." "We want you to, and Mommy wants it too, she just doesn't say it." "How do you know?" "Because she smiled today. She doesn't smile much when you're not here." Marcus felt a lump in his throat at his son's simple but profound observation. When he left the room, he found Jennifer sitting on the couch, folding small clothes. "Can I help?" he offered. "You don't have to." "I want to help." They folded the clothes in silence, each lost in their own thoughts. Marcus looked at the small pieces, t-shirts, pants, tiny socks. They were his children's clothes, which he was touching for the first time. "Jennifer," he said when they finished. "I know I made many mistakes. I know I hurt you, that I abandoned you when you needed me most. I can't change the past, but I can be present in the future." "Marcus, let me finish. I don't want to just be a weekend dad. I want to be here for the hard things too, for the illnesses, for the problems at school, for the nights they can't sleep. I want to be a real father." Jennifer looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Do you have any idea how many times I dreamed of hearing you say that? How many nights I lay awake imagining what it would be like if you came back and said exactly those words? And now that I'm saying them, now I'm afraid. Afraid to believe and be disappointed again. Afraid to let the boys get attached to you and then you disappear. Afraid to get attached to you again." Marcus moved closer to her on the couch, but without touching her. "I understand your fear, and I know it will take time for you to trust me again. But I'm not giving up, Jennifer, not this time." "Why now? What changed?" Marcus thought about the question for a moment. "I changed. During these 7 years, I achieved everything I thought I wanted. Money, success, recognition. But I was empty. Completely empty. When I saw you three today, when I saw the boys, I understood what was missing in my life. And what if you get tired? If the novelty wears off? If your business requires your full attention? Then I'll sell the business. Simple as that." Jennifer looked at him surprised. "Are you serious?" "Completely serious. Jennifer, I built a company, but you three are my family, and family is more important than any business." They fell silent again. the weight of the words hanging between them. "I need time to process all this," Jennifer said finally. "Take all the time you need. But can I keep visiting the boys?" "Yes. But slowly, no pressure. And if they ask about us too, about the possibility of us becoming a family again, I'll tell them I don't know." "And do you know?" Marcus asked softly. "No, I really don't know." Marcus stood up to leave. At the door, he turned to Jennifer. "Thank you for today, for letting me know my sons, for not throwing me out when I showed up out of nowhere. They deserve to know their father. Regardless of what happens between us, they have that right. You're an amazing mother, Jennifer. They're lucky to have you. And unlucky not to have had a present father. That's going to change, I promise." Marcus drove home in silence, his mind filled with images from the day, the boys' smiles, their laughter, the way they immediately accepted him as their father. And Jennifer, more mature, stronger, but still carrying the marks of the pain he had caused. In his luxurious apartment, Marcus felt out of place. The expensive furniture, the panoramic city view, the absolute silence. Everything seemed cold and lifeless compared to the small, cozy house where his children lived. He picked up the phone and called his partner. "David, I need to talk to you tomorrow morning." "Of course, Marcus. Any problems?" "No. An opportunity. A big change." On Monday, Marcus went to the office determined to reorganize his life. He had spent the entire Sunday with the boys again, and every hour confirmed his decision. "David, I'm going to reduce my stake in the company," he said during the meeting. "What do you mean, reduce?" "I want to sell 70% of my shares, stay just as an advisor." David was dumbfounded. "Marcus, are you okay? We're at the company's best moment. Profits have never been higher." "I know. That's why it's the perfect time to step back." "But why? What happened?" Marcus told him about the children, about Jennifer, about the life he had lost while building wealth. "I understand you want to be present in your children's lives," David said carefully. "But that doesn't mean you have to abandon everything we've built. It's not abandonment, it's a change of priority. And Jennifer, are you two going to try again?" "I don't know. She doesn't trust me yet, and I can't blame her." "Marcus, think carefully. You're making a drastic decision based on emotion." "I'm making a decision based on what really matters." David tried to argue for another hour, but Marcus was unyielding. He wanted more time, more freedom, more life. In the following days, Marcus established a routine. He visited the boys every day after work, helped with homework, played in the backyard, participated in dinner time. Jennifer remained cordial but distant. She watched his interactions with the boys, analyzing every gesture, every word, looking for signs that he would lose interest. A week later, Noah got sick. Nothing serious, just a flu, but with a high fever that worried Jennifer. "I need to take him to the doctor," she told Marcus, who had arrived for his daily visit. "I'll take you, my car is more comfortable." "You don't have to." "Jennifer, he's my son. Of course I have to." At the hospital, Marcus held Noah in his lap while they waited for care. The boy had a fever and was sleepy, but he naturally snuggled into his father's chest. "Dad," Noah murmured. "What is it, champ? Are you going to stay here until I get better?" "I'll stay as long as you need." Jennifer watched the scene with tears in her eyes. Seeing Marcus caring for his sick son touched something deep within her. The doctor said it was just a common virus, prescribed medication and rest. On the way home, Noah slept in the back seat while Ethan gently stroked his brother's forehead. "Thank you," Jennifer said softly. "Why?" "For being here. For not running away when things got tough." "Jennifer, I won't run away. No matter what happens, I won't abandon you again." That night, Marcus stayed to help care for Noah. They took turns checking his temperature, giving medicine and applying cold compresses. "You don't have to stay," Jennifer said around midnight. "I want to stay." "Marcus, you have to work tomorrow." "I've already taken care of that. I can work from home or take the day off or whatever. Noah is more important." Around 3 in the morning, Noah's fever broke and he slept peacefully. Marcus was dozing in the chair beside the bed when Jennifer touched his shoulder. "Go sleep on the couch. I'll stay with him now." "Are you sure?" "I am." Thank you for today." Marcus woke the next morning to the smell of coffee and the sound of laughter coming from the kitchen. Noah was better, playing with Ethan while Jennifer prepared breakfast. "Dad!" Ethan shouted when he saw him. "You slept here." "I did. I wanted to make sure Noah was okay." "He's better," Noah said, smiling. "The fever is gone. That's great. And how do you feel?" "Hungry." Everyone laughed. Marcus noticed something different in the atmosphere, a lightness that wasn't there before. During breakfast, the boys talked excitedly about the day before, about how cool it was to have their dad taking care of them when one was sick. "That's what a real family is like, right, Mom?" Ethan asked innocently. Jennifer was speechless. Marcus saw she was struggling with her emotions. After the boys went to play, Marcus helped Jennifer wash the dishes. "Jennifer," he said. "Last night, taking care of Noah, I felt complete for the first time in years. Like I was exactly where I was supposed to be." She didn't answer, but he saw her hands tremble slightly. "I know you still don't fully trust me, but I want you to know this isn't a phase. It's not some novelty that will fade. This is who I want to be, the father of our children. And if you'll let me, the man who takes care of you too." Jennifer stopped washing the dishes and leaned against the sink. "Marcus, I'm so afraid." "Afraid of what?" "Of believing in you and being disappointed again, of letting the boys get attached and you disappearing, of falling in love with you again and you deciding our life is too simple, too poor, too complicated." Marcus positioned himself behind her, not touching her, but close enough for her to feel his presence. "Jennifer, the life you've built here is the richest thing I've ever seen. Rich in love, in connection, in purpose. I spent 7 years surrounded by luxury and feeling empty. One day with you made me happier than years of business success. Words are easy, Marcus. Then let me prove it with actions." She turned to face him. "How?" "Let me be part of your lives, not as a visitor, but as family. Let me contribute not just financially, but emotionally. Let me be here for the joys and the hardships." "And your business?" "I'm already selling my share. In a few weeks I'll be free to dedicate myself to what really matters." Jennifer looked at him in surprise. "You're selling the company?" "Most of it. I'll keep a small stake, but I won't be running the operation anymore." "Marcus, that's crazy. You worked for years to build that." "And I worked all those years losing the most important thing, my family." Jennifer began to cry. Marcus wanted to comfort her but didn't know if he could touch her. "I'm so afraid to believe you," she sobbed. "Then don't believe yet. Just give me a chance to prove it. Little by little, at your own pace." She nodded through her tears. In the following weeks, Marcus became a constant presence in the family's life. He would arrive after work and stay until the boys' bedtime. On weekends, he spent the entire day with them. He learned to make the foods the boys liked, to help with homework, to negotiate typical sibling conflicts. He discovered that Ethan was more stubborn and Noah more sensitive, but both were sweet and affectionate. Jennifer began to relax gradually. She saw Marcus arriving every day at the promised time, saw how he cancelled important meetings so he wouldn't miss commitments with the boys, saw how he worked hard to learn about fatherhood. One afternoon, she received a phone call that made her very nervous. "Marcus, I need to leave urgently," she said. "My mother is in the hospital. I'll stay with the boys, go without worries." "But you don't—" "Jennifer, they're my children. I know how to take care of them. Go see your mother." This was the first time Marcus stayed completely alone with the children for several hours. When Jennifer returned, she found the house tidy, the boys fed and happy. "How was it?" he asked. "My mother is fine. It was just a scare. But thank you for staying with them." "No need to thank me. They're my children too." Jennifer noticed that Marcus had used the expression, "my children," naturally, as if he had always been part of their lives. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. 1 month after the reunion, Marcus finalized the sale of his stake in the company. On the day of signing the contracts, the boys accompanied him to the office. "Wow," Ethan exclaimed upon seeing the mirrored building. "You worked here?" I did, Marcus confirmed, but now I'll work less to spend more time with you. Really? Noah asked. Really? The boys were impressed with the luxurious office, but Marcus noticed they felt out of place there. That world wasn't part of their reality, and he didn't want it to be. David, his former partner, was melancholic during the signing. Are you sure you're making the right choice? He asked one last time. Marcus looked at the boys, who were watching the city from the office window. Absolutely sure. With the sale of the company, Marcus had the financial freedom to dedicate himself fully to the family. He proposed moving to a house in the same neighborhood where Jennifer lived to always be close to the boys. You don't need to move here, Jennifer said. The neighborhood is simple, you won't get used to it. Jennifer, I want to get used to it. I want to truly be part of your lives, not be a visitor who shows up in an imported car. Marcus rented a small house 2 streets away. It didn't have the luxury of the apartment he'd sold, but it had something much more valuable, proximity to his children. The boys were thrilled when they learned their father would be their neighbor. Now we can come to your house too, Ethan said excitedly. And you can come here every day, Noah added. The move to the neighborhood was a cultural shock for Marcus. He was used to the anonymity of luxury condominiums. Here, everyone knew everyone, greeted each other on the street, participated in neighbors' lives. On the first day, Mrs. Margaret, the lemonade lady, appeared at his door with a welcome cake. Welcome to the neighborhood, she said cheerfully. I hope you'll be more present than you've been these past years. Marcus swallowed the indirect criticism and thanked her for the cake. In just a few days, he discovered that living there was completely different from what he had imagined. The baker knew him by name, the pharmacy owner asked about the boys. The neighborhood kids came to play in his backyard. Are you adjusting? Jennifer asked one afternoon as they sat on her porch watching the children play. Better than I expected. People here are closer than in my old neighborhood. That's because there's no electronic gatekeeper separating families here. Marcus laughed. It was true. There, people related more directly, more humanly. Jennifer, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you happy? With all this, with me here, with the changes? She thought for a moment before answering. The boys are happy. That's what matters most to me. And you? I'm learning to trust again. It's a process. Can I do anything to speed up the process? She smiled. Time, Marcus, just time. 2 weeks later, Ethan hurt his knee while playing and needed stitches. Marcus was working from home when Jennifer called in desperation. Marcus, can you come? Ethan fell and he's bleeding badly. He arrived in 5 minutes and found Ethan crying in his mother's arms with a nasty cut on his knee. Let's go to the hospital, Marcus said, picking up the boy. In the emergency room, Marcus held Ethan's hand while the doctor put in the stitches. Does it hurt a lot, Dad? Ethan asked, trying to be brave. It hurts a little, but it'll pass soon. You're being very brave. Braver than Noah would be. Marcus smiled. Even hurt, Ethan maintained his healthy competition with his brother. You're both equally brave. When they left the hospital, Ethan was proud of his stitches and eager to show his brother. Dad, he said in the car. Aye, champ. Thanks for coming to get me. Of course I came. I'm your father. Now you're a real dad, right? Marcus looked in the rearview mirror at Jennifer, who was in the back seat with Ethan. Why do you say that? Because real dads show up when we get hurt. Tyler from school said his dad never shows up when he gets hurt. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. For 6 years he hadn't shown up when his children got hurt. Now he was trying to make up for lost time. That night, after Ethan fell asleep with medication, Marcus and Jennifer talked in the living room. Thanks for coming so quickly today, she said. Jennifer, you don't need to thank me for these things. It's my duty as a father. I know, but I'm still getting used to the idea of not being alone in these situations. You'll never be alone again, not while I'm alive. They looked at each other in silence. Marcus saw something different in Jennifer's eyes. Less distrust, more affection. Marcus, she said softly. Yes? I think I'm starting to trust you again. Marcus's heart raced. Really? Really? You've changed, truly. The man I met would never have dropped everything to live in a simple neighborhood and take care of children. Maybe I just needed to discover what really mattered. And what matters? You. All three of you. Nothing else. Jennifer moved closer to him on the couch. I have a confession to make. What? All these years, even angry, even hurt, I never stopped loving you. Marcus felt tears in his eyes. I never stopped loving you either. I just didn't know how to show it. And now you do? Now I know that love is shown through presence, through priority, through right choices. They sat in silence, absorbing the weight of their confessions. Marcus, Jennifer finally said, yes? Would you like to have dinner here tomorrow? As a family? More than anything in the world. The next day, Marcus arrived with flowers for Jennifer and simple gifts for the boys, history books they could read together. Why did you bring flowers for Mommy? Noah asked curiously. Because she's special, Marcus answered. Are you going to date again? Ethan asked directly. Marcus looked at Jennifer, hoping for a clue on how to respond. We're learning to be a family again, Jennifer said diplomatically. That's great, Noah said. I always wanted you to stay together. Dinner was special. Marcus had learned to cook some basic things and prepared the boys' favorite dish, grilled chicken with French fries. Dad, you cook even better than Mommy, Ethan said, earning a loving pinch from Jennifer. Don't exaggerate, Noah said loyally. Mommy cooks better, but Dad cooks well too. After dinner, they sat on the couch to watch a movie. The boys settled between Marcus and Jennifer, and for the first time in 7 years, they really looked like a family. During the movie, Marcus watched his children. Ethan was dozing against him. Noah was focused on the screen. Jennifer smiled watching the scene. What are you thinking about? She whispered. That it was worth waiting 7 years for this moment. It wasn't worth anything, she corrected. We lost 7 years, but at least now we can enjoy the future. The future, Marcus repeated. I like the sound of that. When the movie ended, Marcus helped put the boys to bed. It was a routine that had become natural. Brushing teeth, putting on pajamas, listening to a story. Dad, Noah said when Marcus was about to turn off the light. What, my love? Are you leaving after we fall asleep? I'm going to my house, which is very close by. But why don't you sleep here? Marcus looked at Jennifer, who was at the bedroom door. Because it's complicated, champ. Why is it complicated? Ethan joined the conversation. Because adults need to sort some things out first. What kind of things? Noah insisted. Jennifer approached the bed. Boys, Daddy and Mommy are learning to be a family again. That takes time. How much time? Ethan wanted to know. We don't know yet, Marcus answered honestly. But are you going to stay together forever? Noah asked hopefully. Marcus and Jennifer looked at each other over the boys' heads. We hope so, Jennifer said softly. Yay, both boys shouted together. But now it's time to sleep, Marcus said, giving each one a kiss. Good night, Dad. Good night, my loves. In the living room, Marcus and Jennifer sat on the couch again. How do you feel about their question? Marcus asked. About staying together forever? Yeah, Jennifer sighed. Scared, hopeful, confused, all at the same time. And which feeling is winning? Hope, she admitted. For the first time in a long time, hope. Marcus took her hand, intertwining their fingers. Jennifer, I know I made terrible mistakes. I know I hurt you deeply. But if you give me a second chance, I promise I'll be the husband and father you deserve. Marcus, you don't have to answer now. Just think about it, okay? She nodded, squeezing his hand. In the following weeks, Marcus and Jennifer began to rebuild their relationship. They had dinner together every day, took walks with the boys on weekends, talked about the future. Marcus discovered that Jennifer had become a stronger and more independent woman. She was no longer the insecure young woman he had left. She was a determined mother, a resilient woman who had faced adversity and come out victorious. You've changed a lot, he said one afternoon, while walking through the neighborhood park watching the boys play. I had to change. I had no choice. For the better. You think so? I'm sure. The Jennifer I knew was sweet and caring, but also dependent and insecure. You're still sweet and caring, but now you're strong and confident. Life has taught me to be this way. And I had to learn too. I learned that money doesn't bring happiness, that professional success doesn't make up for the lack of family, that true love is about presence and priorities. You've really changed, she agreed. Sometimes I look at you with the boys and can't believe you're the same man who left me. I'm not the same man. I'm a better version, and you helped me become this person. A month later, during a picnic in the park, the boys asked a question that took them both by surprise. Dad, Mom, Ethan began solemnly, we have an important question. You can ask, Jennifer encouraged. When are you going to get married again? Noah completed. Marcus choked on the soda he was drinking. Why do you want to know that? Jennifer asked, trying to buy time. Because all the families we know, the parents are married, Ethan explained. And we want to be a normal family, Noah added. You're already a family, Marcus said. Marriage is just a piece of paper. But it's important, Ethan insisted. Tyler said that when parents aren't married, they can separate more easily. Marcus and Jennifer exchanged glances, surprised by the maturity of the observation. And we don't want you to separate again, Noah said with a choked voice. Come here, Jennifer called, opening her arms to the children. The boys snuggled between their parents. Listen carefully, Jennifer said. Daddy and Mommy are together now, and we're going to stay together, with or without a piece of paper. But the paper is important, Ethan repeated. Why is it important to you? Marcus asked. Because then everyone will know you're a real family, Noah explained. And what if we throw a party to show everyone we're a family? Jennifer suggested. A wedding party, Ethan shouted excitedly. A wedding party, Marcus repeated, looking into Jennifer's eyes. What do you think? She asked. I think it's time to make it official, he replied, smiling. The boys celebrated as if they had won the lottery. They spent the rest of the picnic planning the party, talking about the flowers, the cake, the guests. That night, after the children fell asleep, Marcus and Jennifer talked about the plans. Are you sure you're ready for this? Marcus asked. I am. You've proven you've changed, that you're here to stay, and I love you. I never stopped loving you. I love you too. And I love our children. I want to spend the rest of my life proving that to you. You don't need to prove anything else, Marcus. You've already proven it. They kissed for the first time in 7 years. It was a different kiss from the ones they shared when they were young. It was a mature kiss, full of history, forgiveness, hope. 2 months later, Marcus and Jennifer got married in a simple ceremony at the neighborhood church. The boys were the best men, wearing matching little suits and carrying the rings. The reception was in the parish hall, decorated with simple flowers and colorful ribbons. All the neighbors were there, the boys' school friends, some of Jennifer's co-workers. Now we're an official family, Ethan shouted when the priest declared the parents married. Forever, Noah added. During the party, Marcus watched his new family. Jennifer danced with the neighbors, the boys ran between the tables, playing with their little friends. He himself chatted with people who just a few months before were complete strangers. Happy? Jennifer asked, approaching him. Happier than I ever imagined possible. No longing for the old life. What old life? He joked. My life began the day I found you selling lemonade. Our life began, she corrected. Our life as a family. The party continued late into the night. The boys fell asleep in the chairs, exhausted from so much playing. Marcus carried Ethan, Jennifer carried Noah, and they went home as a complete family. In the house that now belonged to all of them, Marcus had sold the rented house and moved permanently into Jennifer's house, which they renovated and expanded. They put the boys to bed, still in their party clothes. Dad, Noah murmured sleepily as Marcus laid him in bed. What is it, my love? Thank you for coming back. Thank you for forgiving me, Marcus replied, giving his son a little kiss on the forehead. In their room, Marcus and Jennifer were getting ready for bed when she said, Marcus, there's something I never told you. What? The day you showed up seeing us selling lemonade, it wasn't a coincidence. What do you mean? I knew you sometimes passed by that street. I hoped you would appear. Marcus looked at her surprised. You were there hoping to see me? Not just hoping, I was sure. I knew that one day you would find us, and when it happened, I wanted you to see how we survived without you, but also how happy we were together. And now? Now we're even happier. Complete. Marcus hugged Jennifer, feeling his heart full of gratitude. He had lost 7 years of his children's lives, but he had gained a second chance to be the man, husband, and father he should always have been. The Sunday after the wedding, they set up the lemonade stand together for the first time as an official family. Mrs. Margaret was the first customer. "So, how was the honeymoon?" she asked with a mischievous smile. "What honeymoon, Mrs. Margaret?" Jennifer laughed. "We stayed right here." "The best honeymoon is at home with family," Marcus said, putting his arm around Jennifer's waist. "Now you really look like a complete family," the lady said, watching Marcus help the boys serve lemonade. "We are a complete family," Noah said proudly. "And we're going to sell lemonade forever," Ethan added. Marcus laughed. The lemonade had become a symbol of their journey. It started as a necessity, became a reunion, and now was a family tradition. "Forever," he agreed, hugging his children. Years later, when Ethan and Noah were teenagers, they still sold lemonade on weekends, but now it was more for tradition than necessity. Marcus had used part of the money from selling the company to create an educational fund for the children and to help other families in the neighborhood. They also started a small family business, a snack bar that served natural juices and homemade sandwiches. Jennifer was the manager. Marcus handled the administrative part, and the boys helped on weekends. "Dad," Noah said one day when he was 15, "do you regret selling the company?" "Never," Marcus replied without hesitation. "Why do you ask?" "Because you could be much richer if you had stayed there." "Noah, I am the richest man in the world." "How so?" "I have a family that loves me, healthy and happy children, an amazing wife, a community that accepts me. What wealth could be greater than that?" Noah smiled. "Mr. Tyler from the bank said wealth is having money." "Mr. Tyler from the bank is wrong. Wealth is having love, health, purpose. Money is just a tool." "And does our tool work well?" "Our tool works perfectly. We have enough to live with dignity and still help other people." Ethan, who had been listening to the conversation, joined them. "Dad, when I grow up, I want to be like you." "Like me, how?" "I want to have a happy family and work with things I like." "And what do you like?" "Soccer and helping people." "Then you could be a physical education teacher or a physical therapist or work in social sports." "And I want to be a doctor," Noah said. "To take care of people the way you took care of us." Marcus felt tears in his eyes. His children had grown up with solid values, noble dreams, generous hearts. "You can be whatever you want, and I'll be here to support you in any choice." "Forever?" Ethan asked, using the expression that had become traditional in the family. "Forever," Marcus confirmed. That night, Marcus and Jennifer were sitting on the porch watching the stars. The boys had gone out with their friends, a freedom earned after years of built trust. "What are you thinking about?" Jennifer asked. "About how life can change completely with a single decision." "What decision?" "The decision to stop the car that day. If I had kept driving. But you stopped and changed our lives for the better." "It changed my life for the better. Your lives I only complicated at first." "Marcus, stop that. The past is gone. What matters is that we're here, together. Happy." "Happy," he repeated. "Are you truly happy?" "Completely. And you?" "More than I ever imagined possible." They fell silent, listening to the neighborhood's night sounds. Dogs barking in the distance, soft music from some house, the wind in the trees. "Marcus," Jennifer said. "Yes?" "Thank you." "Why?" "For coming back, for changing, for choosing us. Thank you for forgiving me, for giving me a second chance, for teaching me what really matters in life. And what really matters? Love, family, presence, simplicity, the things you can't buy but earn day by day. And what would you do differently if you could go back in time?" "I would never have left you. I would have been a father from day one. I would have valued our family above any business." But if you hadn't left us, maybe you would never have learned the value of what you had. Marcus thought about Jennifer's observation. It was true. Maybe he needed to lose his family to understand how important it was. You're right. Sometimes we need to lose something to understand its true value. What matters is that you understood in time to get it back. And you gave me that chance, because you proved you deserved it. The boys came home a little after midnight, laughing and talking about the movie they had watched. "Hi, Dad. Hi, Mum," they greeted. "How was the movie?" Jennifer asked. "Cool," Ethan replied. "It was about a family that splits up and then comes back together." "Just like us," Noah added. "More or less like us," Marcus smiled. "But did it have a happy ending?" Jennifer wanted to know. "It did," Ethan said. "Just like us, too." "We have a happy ending that never ends," Noah said poetically. Marcus and Jennifer laughed at the depth of the observation. "It's true," Jennifer agreed. "Our happy ending is forever." "Forever," everyone repeated together, already as a tradition. End of story. And so, what did you think of this story of reunion and second chances? Sometimes life gives us opportunities to correct our mistakes and rebuild what was lost. Tell us in the comments. Do you believe Marcus made the right choice? Have you ever been through a similar situation? Leave your likes, subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this one, and share your own family experiences in the comments.